Hello and welcome to bettingnews.boylesports.com. I'm joined by Leon Blanche, our betting news spokesperson. Hi Leon.
How you doing, Nicola?
And first of all, we're going to talk about the Irish Derby coming up at the weekend. Much hyped up event. Everyone's looking forward to it, especially now that See the Stars is in it. But now that's in debate. As of this morning, John Ox said the ground, it mightn't go in favour of See the Stars. It's a bit moist for him.
Yeah.
What do you reckon?
It's a big talking point now. Obviously, look, we're going through a very warm patch at the moment here in Ireland, but the Curragh, I think they watered as a precaution in case the ground came up unsafe really at the weekend. But I think everybody in Ireland wants to see the Stars run at the Curragh. He's done the Guineas and English Derby double, which hadn't been done for over 20 years. He is the talking horse. Now he is the favourite.
Stars wins, or do you think it's going to be between him? If he runs, is it going to be between him and Fame and Glory? Is it going to be like a two-horse race?
Yeah, well, listen, they finished first and second in the English Derby. Many people talked about the tactics that were employed by Ballydoyle on the day. Didn't suit Fame and Glory. He's more of a galloping horse, and I think this Sunday there will certainly be a stronger emphasis on
Murphy
pace.
said he'd ride him differently again.
Yeah. Listen, I think they know the only way that they can beat See the Stars is if they try and test his stamina, because that's the only question mark this horse has. Now, See the Stars, when we initially priced up this race on Monday, he was 5-4 on favourite. We went 5-2 Fame and Glory. See the Stars is now 6-4 on favourite, and Fame and Glory is now into 2-1. Johnny Murtagh, of course, is on board him on Sunday. He wasn't on board him in the English Derby. He was on board Rip Van Winkle. He doesn't run on Sunday. But I think it's going to be a case here of Ballydoyle trying to run the legs off See the Stars, basically. They're going to have 5 or 6 in the race. And I think it's going to be a strong pace from the get-go. Who's going to win it? I think if the ground comes up good to firm, the favourite is a worthy favourite. But I do like Fame and Glory. I think he's a good horse. He was unbeaten before the English Derby, so he's only been beaten once. And I think come Sunday afternoon it could be a different result.
It's a tough call. Well, then, for people to get their money's worth, an outside bet, maybe an each way bet. I fancy Master of the Horse. He's at 14-1 now.
No, he's available at 4-1. He finished third in the
Golden Sword.
You're thinking Golden Sword, yeah. That's another one of the O'Brien horses. There's so many of them. It's very easy to get confused with them. Master of the Horse is 4-1. He finished third in the English Derby. Came with a late run. He'll have to do the same again because this horse only has one burst of speed, so you've got to hold him up. Whereas Golden Sword will probably lead from the front, as he did when he won his Derby trial. He tried to do the same at Epsom. He finished 5th.
He ran well.
Yeah, he did. He was only caught on the line to actually finish third. So I would say if you were having an each way bet, maybe Golden Sword at 14-1. The other horse that's kind of not getting much attention is Gonorous. Trained by Mr. Bulger. Ran a shocker at Epsom, but that can happen to any horse because Epsom is such a unique track. It's got undulations and hills and bumps and everything, so some horses just don't like it. If he was to come back to the form that he showed before that race, he might just squeak into a place. But for me, I think Fame and Glory might just find out See the Stars, but it's very, very difficult to separate the two.
Okay, thanks Leon. Now next we're going to talk about the weekend's GAA fixtures.
Yeah, we are.
Cavan take on Antrim, then Kildare and Laois, Dublin, Westmeath, and finally Sligo take on Galway. Now Dublin and Kildare seem to be the strong favourites anyway. What do you reckon?
They would be, Nicola. Yeah, I think this is probably going to be the Leinster final. Dublin are up against Westmeath. They have a couple of changes to the team that beat Meath in the quarter-final of the Leinster Championship. Davron, unfortunately, the young lad, he's out injured. Jason Sherlock will replace him. So it's an old head, and I think this will actually help Dublin. The new management team are trying to blood in some youngsters, which is great, but I do think they need an old head just to calm them down a little bit. However, the Dubs will win, but whether they'll win by more than 6 points, which is what the handicap spread is at the moment, I don't think they will. I think Westmeath plus 6 points are a very good bet at 10-11. Kildare are taking on Laois. I think Kildare have done remarkably well this year. And I think it's good for Leinster football that Kildare are back playing and looking like back coming to the top of their game. I think Kildare will beat Laois. But again, looking at the handicap, Kildare minus 2 points at 11-10. I think they'll actually cover this. I really fancy Kildare. They've been going along very, very nicely. They've a former Armagh superstar managing them now. And I think Kildare will beat Laois. So Kildare and Dublin for the Leinster final for me.
Okay. And let's talk now about Wimbledon. All tennis fans are going to be glued to their screens this week. Let's talk about the men's outright betting first of all. Big shock that Nadal was pulled out with injury, as I would have actually put my money on him for it. I think it's going to be Roger Federer, Andy Murray final now. I think everybody does at this stage. What's the betting looking like?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's no surprise again, Nicola, to see that Federer is the odds-on jolly. I thought it was a remarkable performance in France by him. Really, really top drawer. He's 7-4 on to win Wimbledon. You can back Andy Murray at 21-10, and I do agree with you. I think this is going to be the final. But there's no way I can have Andy Murray beating Roger Federer.
Roger Federer's out to break world records. I think that, will give him the edge, and he's really determined.
Yeah, he is really determined, and as you said, not having Nadal, because we all remember that epic 5-set final last year was one of the best tennis matches I've ever watched. But I just don't think Murray, there's a lot of hype about him, and I don't think it's all his own fault. I think it's the media. They try and build up to the point where they want to knock you down.
He's the main British player. Everybody's behind him,
and he is Scottish. But looking at Murray against Federer, I think Federer will beat him. No value at 7-4 on, but listen, I think he will win it.
Okay, and moving on to the women's. Now, again, it's the Williams sisters. They're always up there, the favourite. I'm kind of getting tired of them, so I'd like an outside bet, like maybe world number one is Safina. She's at 12-1, which I think is a great bet.
Well, you know your tennis extremely well, and you said to me before we did this that you can't understand why a world number one is such a big price, and it does make sense. But you've also got to look at the history of Wimbledon and look at the two Williams sisters.
Exactly.
They're always there or thereabouts in the semi-final or the final, and that's why Serena's...
They love the grass.
They do because their power game really comes into effect, doesn't it? Serena's the favourite at 13-8. You can back Venus at 15-8, but I'm going to listen to you, and I'm going to go with a bit of value, hopefully for the punters out there. Go with the world number one at 12-1, Safina, just to pip one of the Williams sisters, because I think one of them will get to the final.
I think it's going to be Venus in the final.
Hopefully it's not an all Williams final again, because it becomes very boring and there's a lot of grunting. And it's not, it's just not nice to watch that much, And
Maria Sharapova, that was a shock that she was knocked out.
Yeah.
We'll have to watch that new Argentinian player.
She looks good. Like, I think really when you look at the women's game, there's more of a chance of an upset. Whereas the men's game now is kind of tied down to the likes of Federer, Nadal, Murray, maybe Djokovic if he plays out of his skin. But the women's game tends to see someone coming from out of the pack.
Like Sharapova, that was a massive shock in the first round at Wimbledon.
She's not...
She's a former Wimbledon champion as well.
Former Wimbledon,
She does like the grass. But
listen, we'll go with
Safina.
We'll go with Safina at 12-1,